Hello, everybody. Scott Golden with Golden Opportunities Coaching here. I apologize for not having been around for about 3 weeks or so. We're going to get back to regular content. I had a project for a client that took many more hours than I imagined, and so that led me to not update here as much as I wanted to, but things are going to slow down at least for the month of November and the rest of October. So for the next 6 weeks, I should be able to do daily or almost daily updates. Anyway, today we're going to talk about fake love. How do you know if the love or relationship you're in is bordering on fake, false, or not being in your best interest? There's about 6 or 8 things that I want to go through here. And if you have one or more of these things, then you might be in an unhealthy or unloving situation. Obviously, if you are in a new relationship and you don't have any skin in the game, so to speak, it's better to end rather than try to make someone be something they're not. I think I see a lot of that in relationship coaching that I do, people trying to make people be something that they aren't naturally, and it gets very frustrating. So the first is you change or you want the other person to change. Real loving relationships require 2 things. They require compromise and they require willingness to accept differences. And so if the other person's trying to make you change how you dress or change how you speak or change how you behave or make you less introverted or less extroverted, and it's not, hey, could you tone it down for today? It's, hey, could you change this about yourself? There's times and places for everything. So asking someone to, change behavior for a day or an afternoon, if you're around certain situations, that's not a problem. But if a person's asking you to change who you are, it's not a loving situation. And if you feel compelled to change who you are to keep a relationship, that relationship about 90% of the time will not last long term. Within 2 years, you will grow tired of each other and you'll be sitting there going, what did I do that for? The next is like unto it if the person's trying to control you. Now, control can be something as simple as who you spend time with, how you spend your time, how often you contact them. Again, this is a really slippery slope. There is a difference between having preferences. For example, when I'm in a relationship, I'd like to hear from my partner at least twice per day. Once in the morning, hey, you had a good night. Once before they go to sleep, hey, have a good night. How was your day? Have a good night. That's my preferred communication method. Now, if somebody needs more than that, I'm willing to engage it. But if they need less than that, and it's not because they're traveling or doing something different, I'm not sure the relationship's going to work. At the same time, if they can't do that and they're uncomfortable with it, then I have to look at compatibility. And I'm just using myself as an example. You have your boundaries and what you're willing to change and what you're not willing to change, what you're willing to alter to keep a relationship going and what you're not. There's a huge difference between what's right in that situation and not. And the next thing I want to touch on is jealousy. So there's this culture that says if he wants me or if she wants me and only me, that's a good thing. And while jealousy is a trait that can be useful if it's used as protectiveness, in other words, I'm jealous that you're spending time with someone and not me because maybe this person doesn't have pure motives towards you, that can be okay. But I'm jealous because I'm insecure, that doesn't work. And so if jealousy is a part of your relationship, there's also some level of immaturity there. If you can't say, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this because I miss you, or I'm uncomfortable with this because I think maybe someone's trying to take advantage of you, or I'm uncomfortable because I'm lonely. If you can't get to the root core of the jealousy and talk it through so that it's not an issue, the relationship will not last. Relationships based in jealousy often become, not always, but often become controlling, and that's not good. So the next is you don't make each other a priority. So the building of a relationship requires time spent. It also requires a dedication. Now, that could be in the early stages of a relationship, making time for each other once or twice a week. And when you're living together, it could be making time for each other every other day. When you're married, it could be, finding time for each other in schedule. But when a person does not put you, maybe not their top priority, maybe there's a work priority that has to be top. But if you're not in someone's top 2 priorities, if you're not right there with their top priority, then it's not love, it's usually some form of convenience. Now, that can shift in an emergency situation, but we're assuming that in this scenario, you're not a priority when there aren't other more pressing issues at foot. And the next is emotional distance. So you're trying to connect with your partner, and or they're trying to connect with you, and you have nothing to talk about. Or there isn't the desire to include each other in daily life stuff. There isn't the desire to reach out and say, how was your day, or how did bowling go, or whatever the case is. And that persists for several weeks or months at a time. That's not healthy, number one. Also, that level of distance indicates a certain level of emotional disconnection, which needs to be dealt with before the relationship can go to another level anyway. The next thing is boredom. If you can't find things to enjoy together, be it a hobby, be it a TV show, be it a movie, be it a book, and you read and discuss, be it just spending time in nature or going around town, then if you're bored with each other, that relationship isn't loving, because in a loving scenario, the person that you're with is a bonus to the things you already enjoy, and you are a bonus to the things they already enjoy. And one of the things I work with clients on is viewing relationships not as a way of completion of self, but as a bonus to a life they're already enjoying for themselves. In other words, this person is with me, therefore it's better, but I'd still be enjoying myself even if they weren't here, if they needed to do something else, or if I was single. That's the place from which you're going to attract the healthiest relationships. When a relationship becomes the definition of your identity, danger will be at hand. The next is the inability to compromise. A loving person is going to see the value in your needs being met just as much as their own. A loving person is going to see the value of giving to you so that you give to them, so that there's a give and take and a volley in the relationship. When there is no volley, and I say this all the time, the relationship is already dead. It's already over. And so that's not to say that there can't be a week or two or maybe even a month during a really difficult or traumatic time that compromise is tough. But if you have several months in a row or longer where there's no compromise, yeah, the relationship's already done, and it's just a formality for the separation to take place. The next is people quit. The next and last, people quit on you. They say they'll stand by you, and then you behave a certain way, and they pull themselves back from you. Quitting on another person is never loving. Sometimes people need more emotional support than others. Sometimes people need other things, and we never know what the needs portfolio of a person is going to be when we begin dating them, but we have to be willing to look at that and say, hey, this is important and this is valuable, and let's work through this together. And so that is this particular audio. Please subscribe, like, comment below if it's been helpful. Till next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.